In this podcast episode, I want to share one helpful little mental trick that I think is underrated that can help you to make the changes that you want to make. Welcome to Grow with Intention, the podcast for people who want to create a life that feels good. Before I talk about this one mental trick, I need to talk about my fundamental belief when it comes to change, which is that if you want to change something in your life, you need to change how you react to it. When you react to something differently, it tends to change, for better or for worse. For example, if my imaginary kid had been lying for years, they just had a pattern of lying about weird little things. And then one day I was like, you know what? I'm going to start reacting to their lies differently than I ever have before. And I'm going to be consistent with it. Their pattern of lying would change, for better or for worse, depending on how I changed my reaction. If I had been a worrier for years, and then one day I was like, you know what? I'm going to change how I react to the urge to worry. Instead of indulging, I'm going to go on a run. My pattern of worrying would change, for better or for worse, depending on how my mind responded to my new reaction. Here is one example of a new reaction that you could pick that could help you to change an old behavior. And what I want to do is share with you a few different ways that I've seen this mental trick used, because I've seen it in a few different contexts, which is always fun. And it really demonstrates the different ways that you can use this little mental trick to break old patterns and habits. Starting with example number one. If you take a kid to the shops around Christmas time, there is so much pushing to get them to buy toys. Left and right, there are ads. Toys are front and center in the store, and inevitably you are going to get them asking you over and over again, Mom, can I have this? I say as a non-mom, but I have nieces, so I know this. And of course, it's rough for kids to constantly hear a no. So one TikToker created a new way of responding to this behavior. Instead of giving her kids a straight up no whenever they would ask for a toy around Christmas time, she would say, let me take a picture of it and we're going to send it to Santa. How about that? Instead of a direct no, her kids got a not now. And a not now is so much easier for a kid to handle than a no. No tears are shed. There's no tantrums. And if you want to look at it in the most positive light, kids also learn about delayed gratification. They usually forget about the toy in a few minutes. Example number two. David Lewis is a therapist who works with alcoholics, and his phrase that he often uses with his clients is, okay, but not today. If his patients get the urge to drink, he tells them, you can say to yourself, yeah, like you can have a drink, but just not today. They can even plan what drink they want to have, but they're not allowed to have that drink today. And when it comes to cravings and urges, they usually do fade away. I think they say they take up to 20 minutes to fade away. And just like when kids are told, yeah, you can have that, but just not yet, it almost is as if it diffuses the thought. It diffuses the urge. I think grown-ups are more like little kids than we'd like to admit. No one likes to hear a no. That never fully goes away. It always stings. But when you meet your cravings with a not yet, you're not hearing no, you're hearing not yet. And there's something about that that gives you almost the satisfaction of a yes. A no actually can feel a bit like a threat to your brain. Could even send you into a bit of scarcity. Example number three. These are all the same thing, just applied in different ways. So Michael Neal is a podcaster that I follow, and he recently released an episode about the 2-week rule. His partner's grandma was a homeopath, and her whole thing was, if you are feeling unwell, something seems a bit off, wait 2 weeks, see what happens. Then we'll follow up on it. Unless it's something like obviously life-threatening, or there's something like clearly that's not okay, we should do something about that, the 2-week rule would be implemented. To be clear, I'm not giving out any health advice here. And if something was going wrong with Michael's body, this is kind of the opposite of how he would react. Like, he was a catastrophizer. He was a, oh my gosh, something's happening. Okay, we need to look into this. We need to fix this straight away. Book in a doctor's appointment. And he also did the same thing with his feelings. So if he had like a low day or a low 2 days, he'd be like, something's wrong. Maybe I need to book in with a therapist. What's going on here? Catastrophizing and overreacting almost always aggravates symptoms when it comes to mental health. And now when it comes to his difficult feelings, he always thinks of the 2-week rule. If he hits a low, he doesn't overreact to it and he just goes, oh, I'll just give it 2 weeks. If I'm still really feeling the effect then I might do something about it. And almost always, he'll feel better in days, if not hours. To stop the habit of catastrophizing, instead of telling himself, no, you can't catastrophize, he would just say, not yet. In 2 weeks' time, we can catastrophize, but just not yet. And for another very quick example, if you've ever heard of the worry hour, it's something that is often prescribed to patients with anxiety. So if you struggle with anxiety and worry, a therapist will tell you, just jot it down and assign it to your worry hour that you can do at 5 p.m. every single day. So you don't think about it when it comes up, but when worry hour comes, then you can really dwell on it. And most of the time when worry hour hits, you won't end up wanting to worry about the thing that you wrote down earlier. It won't feel as big of a deal because your moods change how you perceive things. All of the examples that I just gave you are just examples of the same thing, the not yet rule. I can buy that thing, just not yet. I can do it on Black Friday. I can for sure have a drink, but not today. I'm allowed to catastrophize, but not yet. I'll just wait 2 weeks. This is a really easy, helpful diffusion tactic that's a little gentler on your mind than cold turkey, no, we're not doing that anymore. It can deliver the same results as a cold turkey, no, we're not doing that again, but it feels a little softer for your mind. Every week I do Recs of the Week directly related to the podcast topic episode. For those of you who want to dive a little deeper, I usually give a book recommendation because I'm a little reader, but for this podcast episode, I would give the recommendation of the Michael Neal podcast episode, The 2-Week Rule. When it comes to emotions, the 2-week rule resonates with me so much. I appreciate you so much, and I'll see you soon.